Welcome to the Asset Preservation Hour. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, and I'm joined today by Stuart Willis and Judd Carlson. They're the co-founders of Asset Preservation Tax and Retirement Services. Judd, how are you today?
Wonderful. Great to see you again, Cynthia.
Great to be with you, Judd, as well. Stuart, how are you?
Oh, I'm having a wonderful time here.
Good. I am too. It's always a pleasure when we have the three of us together in the office because there's always so much information that you're sharing with the viewing audience. So it's a pleasure to have you in the studio today. So, Judd, I wanted to ask you a question. Obviously, our stock market right now, with the volatility that's involved, some of the things that we've talked about in the past are kind of a topic for today's show as well. I wanted to talk to you specifically about passive asset management versus tactical, if you will.
Yeah, thank you, Cynthia. So with what's going on in the market, obviously one day it's the greatest ever and there's a reopening and the markets are booming. And then the next day people are worried about inflation and bond prices and things are dropping. And so historically, a lot of people would go with their idea of a portfolio would be, weighted more in stocks or equities and then the other portion in bonds. And then when one went the other direction, they would flip-flop that. What we've really tried to do is put together and focus on, again, tactical asset management.
Okay.
So we've got a slide here that talks about that, and Stuart says I've got a face for radio, so this is a really good segment here. When you take a look at the static versus tactical, a lot of income or index funds are set up where the money goes in and it basically sits there. And so that's going to be your static portfolio. What we do is when one of the money managers that we work with, they utilize this tactical approach. And the idea is when the market conditions are favorable in one area, we put our foot on the gas. And when things need to be pulled back, like when COVID hit the prior year, then they're able to take their foot off the gas, put their foot on the brake, and then expand as we go back into economic expansion. And by doing this, Jim Cramer, is one of the people that always talks out there, and he says there's a bull market somewhere. Yeah. And really, that's what we're trying to do, is we're not sitting back and just holding on to everything that we've got. By being tactically managed, we're looking for those opportunities that are available now and where things are heading. And the easiest example I can give some people would be, during COVID. As things started to shut down, to be in airlines and tourism and those kind of things would be a bad place to just sit there. Yeah. So a tactically managed portfolio is going to get out of those things and move into different items that are going to benefit from the shutdown. And then as things are reopening, obviously that's the put your foot on the gas. Now's the time to go back into those types of things that are going to expand. And so again, we are always keeping an eye on the portfolios. The money managers we use are basically making changes on a daily basis to put our clients in the best possible position.
That's wonderful. Stuart, I have to ask you as well, what's going on right now with income tax?
Well, taxes, as we know, right now are at the lowest they've ever been in history. We're in this super efficient window right now. And so, we do have a tax office built into our office here. And the purpose of that tax office isn't just tax preparation, although we did 729 returns this year. The purpose of it, the main purpose, is tax planning. And I think it's really important to understand where we are and why that's relevant today. So I have a slide here that'll show you an overlay of the Trump tax cuts in the pre-Trump environment. So the red there is showing including standard deduction, all the tax brackets that existed before the Trump tax cuts. The blue there are the Trump tax cuts. Well, as you see, almost every bracket is either the same or lower as it was before. So the idea that it only benefited the wealthy is just it's just not true. And so the point I'm making of showing you that slide was to basically let you know that we are in this very efficient window that we think is going away here imminently, definitely by the end of the year. It may even be this year. So if this budget reconciliation act goes through, it's very possible to be stuck in a higher tax environment for quite a while, because just think, even if the Republicans win the House and the Senate, remember, the president has veto power. So the ability to veto any future legislation is out there as well. So, what happens now may be around for quite a while.
Well, Stuart, I have to ask you, how do people protect themselves and plan properly for these changes that could occur?
Well, the first thing to do is to make sure that your advisor understands tax and can give you tax advice. That's why we have a couple CPAs and an enrolled agent working for us, is to have year-round tax planning available. And you just have to think through that most people that see their tax person see them in, February through April 15th. And let me just tell you this, if you are getting tax advice and tax planning advice during that tax season when they're filing taxes, it's a problem. These people are zombies. They're working 12-hour days. They're working their tails off. They're just trying to get the tax returns done accurately and move on. Tax planning should be done year-round, especially after the tax season's over, when people have, a fresh set of eyes on it there. So you should have a plan. Your financial advisor should give you tax advice as well, or have somebody in their office that can do it. If they're just telling you, hey, go talk to your CPA, well, that's a problem, right? See, financial advisors historically have done the least amount of work necessary to continue to earn their paycheck. And I think when you add these, taxes to the equation, I mean, trust me, taxes take up 3 of our months, that we could be growing the company, but instead we're doing tax planning. But it's crucial to financial planning.
Judd, I should ask you, how important is it for someone to have a second opinion, if you will?
Well, again, as times are changing, if your current advisor doesn't handle taxes, it's definitely good to get that second opinion. We always try and tie it back to, a regular checkup with your doctor's office, because if you catch something that you didn't know was there or wasn't previously there, the earlier you happen to catch that, the more time and the more options you have to remedy those things. So when it comes to financial planning, we want to know, how much risk are you taking before the market pulls back? What are your taxes going to look like before you're preparing them the following spring? Those are the kind of things that you want to look at, be proactive, and make sure that, you've got everything in place. And we always say it, that in the end, if you're in a great spot, and we do see a lot of people that come through our doors that are like that, they've got a good advisor, they're in a good spot, we're going to tell you. But if they're not, and your tax person's telling you to talk to your investment advisor, and your investment advisor is telling you to talk to your tax person about what they're doing, in the end, it's going to be like that old-fashioned game of telephone in the classroom. You start with one thing on this side, and what ends up coming out the other end is not necessarily going to be what you're looking for. So we always talk about the left hand knowing what the right hand's doing, and making sure that everything is put together in a nice, neat package for you.
Absolutely. Stuart, I know you have a special offer to give to the viewers at home today. Let's talk a little bit about what that is before opening the phone lines.
Absolutely, Cynthia. So what we're offering today is a complimentary portfolio review. And in that complimentary portfolio review, what we're going to do is take a look at what kind of risks you're taking, what kind of fees you're paying, what kind of tax implications are hiding there under the bed, right? So if you just give us a call at 833-652-7829, we'd be glad to give you a second opinion on your existing portfolio.
Stuart, thank you so much. Judd, thank you so much. To the viewers at home, the phone lines are now open. That number to call is 833-652-7829. We know you have a lot of questions about how to plan for retirement, perhaps just need a second opinion. What Stuart and Judd are offering you today is that complimentary consultation. All you have to do is call 833-652-7829. We have to take a very short commercial break, but don't go anywhere. When we come back, we're going to have so much more about how to plan your perfect retirement. Please stay tuned.
What happens oftentimes is we'll run into clients or potential clients that have saved all this money, but they're 75, 80 years old. They've got this big pile of money, but they're not enjoying retirement because they're so worried about running out of money that they never actually get to enjoy their life's work. And so to me, it's really rewarding to be able to create a plan so that these people can have a great time in retirement, knowing that they're not going to run out, that they're going to be fine. I think it brings a smile to their face.
We get a lot of different people at a lot of different stages in their lives. And what we're able to do is, for some folks, it's able to tell them that you're on track. Keep doing what you're doing, and 15 years from now, you'll be retired and enjoying life the way you want it to be. For some people, it's people coming in and they're 3 to 5 years away from retirement, and you're able to tell them that, you know what, 5 years, 3 years, tomorrow, you're ready to go.
We are a complete shop. We handle estate planning, taxes, financial planning. We do a really in-depth cash flow analysis that is way more detailed than you'll see in the market.
Everything all in one spot, with the left hand always knowing what the right hand's doing. Because it's not just about the investments, but how's that going to affect your taxes? It's not where are you going to be 5 years from now, 15 years from now. And it's that back and forth full view of what the clients, not only today, but tomorrow and their legacy down the road is going to be, that really sets us apart.
And welcome back to the Asset Preservation Hour. My name is Cynthia DeFazio, and I'm joined today by Stuart Willis and Judd Carlson. They're the co-founders of Asset Preservation Tax and Retirement Services. Gentlemen, a great show that we're having today, talking about the importance of planning properly for retirement, keeping taxes in mind, of course. We do have some viewer questions that came in during our commercial break, so if you don't mind, I want to get through a couple of those. Would that be okay?
Sure.
Absolutely.
All right, Judd, I'm going to guide this first one to you. This is a great question. It says, Judd, what should I look for in a financial advisor?
Well, I guess the number one thing that we always mention to folks is make sure that they're a fiduciary. You want to know that they have to put your best interests first. You want to know that what they're doing, if there's any conflicts of interest, they have to be able to disclose that to you. Because if they're going to do what benefits you most versus themselves most, you want them to be a fiduciary. The second piece is, we would recommend working with a independent financial advisor. You want someone who is not being told by someone else what they should sell you or what they should offer you. You don't want a trip to the Bahamas that's dangling out in front of them to determine whether or not they place your account in one fund versus another. The next piece is you want a financial advisor who is a full picture, holistic planner. You want them to not only look at your investments, but how are your taxes going to be affected? What do your legacy planning look like? Even estate planning. So many things, again, passing on ties back to performance, ties back to taxes. Just big picture wise, you want to make sure that you've got all those things in place. And then one of the things that we tell people to look for, because we offer it, is that tailored concierge service, where it's not a cookie cutter program. You're going to get individualized time with us. The plans that are developed for you, again, are going to be customized and tailored directly to your particular situation.
Judd, thank you so much. Stuart, this is a great question as well. Stuart, how do I know what fees I'm paying? I've never had that talk with my advisor.
Yeah, you know what? I think a lot of advisors are uncomfortable with the fee conversation. But now with the advent of the fiduciary rule and people moving towards a fiduciary standard, it's becoming a little bit more common. But first of all, that's why we offer that complimentary portfolio review, is to really take a look at what you're really paying. And let me just first say this, that if you believe that your advisor is just working with you because they like you and they're not getting paid, you're tricking yourself, right? All of us make money by managing assets. It's just important that you understand how much you're paying and what are you getting in return for it. It's a pretty big expense for us to run a tax office.
Sure.
I think we have the least profitable tax office in tax office history. but it gives us such great information, because it allows us to add scenarios into the tax plan that we otherwise couldn't do. For example, if someone decided to do a Roth conversion, we could add it into their taxes for the following year, and we could see all of the implications. That's why we have some of the best tax software available on the market today. But I can tell you this, Cynthia, back to your fees question, people are scared to talk about fees, right? Clients are embarrassed to ask because they don't want to seem cheap. But listen, you have to understand what you're paying and what hidden fees are out there. And once again, what value are you getting for your money? Because just remember, from 2000 to 2013, the S&P 500 didn't make any money at all, right? Went down and up and down and back up again. Now, go ahead and add 2% of hidden fees inside there. Now you're down, 28%. I mean, compounded, right? So you want to make sure that those parasitic fees are understood by you and you understand exactly what you're paying.
Absolutely. Judd, this is a great question that just came in as well, and I love this one. The question is, Judd, what is the right age for someone to start getting professional advice?
Well, the easy answer to that would be as early as possible.
Okay.
Now, what Stuart has kind of shared in the past, if you're early 20s and just starting out, obviously you might not be a great fit for what we do, but the idea is the earlier you start, the better.
Yeah.
We want you to have that plan. If you don't know where you're going, think if you're taking a cross-country trip in the car and you pull out, if you don't know exactly where you're going, how are you going to know what changes and things to make along the way?
True.
So for us, typically, our ideal client is going to be someone who has between 5 and 10 years prior to retirement. If you're not retired yet and you're less than 5 years, you definitely want to get in and see somebody. But the more time you have, the more efficient that you can be. And we get clients who come in and we do Roth conversions and we do legacy planning. And the number one thing they'll say is, I wish I would have met you guys earlier.
Yeah.
And so, again, that 5 years, between 5 and 10 years to retirement, it is absolutely crucial that you get in and see someone, but the earlier, the better, no matter what your age is.
All right, Judd, thank you so much. Stuart, this is a great question as well. Said, Stuart, I really enjoy watching you and Judd each week on the show. What are the steps or process involved if I decide to become a client?
Well, first and foremost, we want to find out if it's a good fit. And I tell people all the time, you know, if you don't like me on TV, you're not going to like me in person because I'm the exact same person. I say it all the time, but it's absolutely true. But the first step is to just give us a call and to set up an appointment to do the complimentary portfolio analysis. Then, during that next hour, we're going to find out if we're right for each other, right? Because we want to make sure we're right for you and that you're right for us. And, you know, people wonder how I can work 6-7 days a week and work 10, 12-hour days. It's because I surround myself with people I like. I don't like being around people I dislike. So, you know, I think if you don't like me or you don't like Judd, well, then you're going to realize this isn't a good fit, right? And it's better to figure that out up front. You know, it's no harm, no foul. This is business. So it's important to make sure that we're a good fit. That's first and foremost, Cynthia.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, Judd, I have another question for you. This is great. Before we go to the phone lines one more time, they would like to know what exactly makes asset preservation tax and retirement different?
Well, I always like to share, I think the biggest piece of it is where our company has grown from.
Yeah.
Why we're different is because we're not the same company we were in 1997, 24 years ago when we started. The company comes and has grown from trying to provide affordable estate planning to the masses. And then along the way, we added the fiduciary component in 2008. We added the tax practice in 2005. We really put a focus on retirement, income planning, Social Security in 2013. So we've grown as our clients' needs have dictated that. So now when somebody comes to us, you're getting a financial advisor, you're getting a tax professional, both the preparation side and the more important planning side. You're getting someone who can handle your estate planning. And I think because we offer all those services under one roof, not that you have to take advantage of all of them, but I think that's truly what sets us apart.
Absolutely. Well, gentlemen, this is the perfect time for us to open up the phone lines. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
All right. To the viewers at home, the phone number to call is on your screen. That number is 833-652-7829. We realize you have a lot of questions about how to plan for retirement, how to retire comfortably. Stuart and Judd are offering you a complimentary consultation today, a portfolio review. Let them take a look at what you currently have in place. Does it need to be tweaked or adjusted? If so, they're offering to do that for you today, complimentary. All you have to do is call 833-652-7829. We'll be right back after this very short commercial break.
This is the story of how you get from here to there. Right now you're here, but in the future, you want to be there. And from here, there looks pretty good. But so few get to there. Why? Well, of those who do make it, some will have luck, but most will have a strategy. They will save and invest, grow and protect, and they will work with advisors who will help guide their way. If you're looking to get somewhere, to get there, we know how to set a course. It's what we do, and we do it well. We're investment specialists, retirement advisors, insurance experts, and financial planners. We have innovative wealth tracking tools to monitor your progress every step of the way. Wherever you are now, we can help you get to where you want to be. The road between here to there is shorter for those who know the way.
And welcome back to the Asset Preservation Hour. My name is Cynthia DeFazio. I'm joined today by Stuart Willis and Judd Carlson. They're the co-founders of Asset Preservation Tax and Retirement Services. Gentlemen, a great show that we're having today. And I do want to talk in this final segment about something very important. I would like to talk to you, Judd, a little bit about pension planning and lump sum 401ks. Can we talk a little bit about that?
Certainly. That's probably one of the bigger pieces that you have some options or choices with.
Okay.
Number one, not everybody has a pension these days. If you work for the Arizona retirement system, you do. If you work for Honeywell, depending on how long you've been there, you do. We have some federal employees who have various pensions, state and local government. So again, it's not for everybody. But the key that we want people to look at is when you have a choice, if you can take a lifetime pension, or if you could take part of that in a lump sum and part of it as a pension, a payment for your life, or roll it all over, you've got choices.
Yeah.
And again, part of what we do is not only looking at the tax piece, but how is that pension income going to affect the taxation on your Social Security? What's going to happen when you have those required minimum distributions down the road?
Sure.
You know, what if you have that pension for your life and your spouse's, and what happens if something happens to one of you too early, and then now there's nothing that can pass on to the kids from that?
Yeah.
So we want people to just know that it's not check a box and take the pension, though for a lot of people that might make sense. It's about looking at what your options are. Does it make sense to roll it over? Does it make sense to turn it into an IRA and eventually a Roth IRA? Or for yourself and your family, does it make more sense to take that annual or monthly payment for the rest of your life? But again, for those people who are eligible for that, you have a lot more choices to make, and you should be aware of what the consequences are.
Sure. So it's not cookie cutter. It's not one size fits all. It's tailored to each individual person.
You got it.
Absolutely. Stuart, I want to ask you a question a little bit about inherited IRAs and RMDs. Can we talk a little bit about that this morning?
Absolutely. So inherited IRAs are typically for non-spouse beneficiaries, but there is a provision to allow spousal inheritance of an IRA as well. And the one thing to consider is that you are only allowed to do a continuation or an inherited IRA once. And then it becomes an inherited IRA. And so the provisions are different. And so when it comes to distribution after the Secure Act, if somebody passes away this year or forward, they have to take a distribution, the non-spouse beneficiaries, within 10 years. It has to be fully distributed. And an inherited IRA has to be taken within 5 years. So there's a lot of different tax consequences. And oftentimes what we'll see is that a spouse will do a spousal inherited IRA, and there's no real benefit for them. Now, for some people, there is a benefit, right? So if they're under 59 and a half, for example, when their spouse passes away, there's a benefit doing, there. But if you have any intention to pass these assets to the kids, which you don't have to have that intention, but if that is your goal, you want to make sure that you have the most efficient structure possible. And so when it comes to inherited IRAs, sometimes it makes sense to reclassify them, to recharacterize it to a spousal IRA rather than an inherited IRA. And you are allowed a one-time chance at recharacterizing that inherited IRA if you're a spouse. So it's really important to find out if that will benefit you, how that'll help you. And all you have to do is give us a call. We'd be glad to take a look and see how it applies to your situation.
So, Judd, without the proper guidance, without knowing everything that you and Stuart are sharing today, these can be some major tax implications, if you will, if someone does not know how to guide through these waters.
Yeah, and again, it all comes back to that big picture planning because, as Stuart mentioned, if it is going to go to the children, there's a very good chance that there are ways that you could take the money out earlier or restructure it and pay it at a lower tax rate, the parents' tax rate, versus maybe the children who are still working and have their income that it's getting thrown on top of. So, it all comes back to we talk about a second opinion. If you just come to us and all we do is confirm what you already knew, then nothing lost, nothing gained. But if you were unaware of it, as he mentioned, where a spouse has received a spousal inherited IRA and they didn't need to do that, we can help them recharacterize that and help provide so that that money can pass on the way they want it to their remaining children or beneficiaries. So, again, it's just really about knowing what your options are and then making the decision that best fits you and your family.
Absolutely. Well, Stuart, we have just a couple minutes left of the show this week. Any final tidbits of advice you want to give the viewers at home?
Yeah, I think the biggest piece of advice I could give you is to stop the water cooler talk, right? A lot of people that are kind of do-it-yourselfers are doing it because they want to impress their friends with their knowledge of the market. Understand there's tremendous amount of risks out there. And listen, for the last 12 years, I jokingly say a blind chicken could have done well in this market because the market is multiplied 500% since its low point. So everybody's making money there right now. Understand this is your life's work. You need to make sure that it's protected, that it's being properly managed. If you want our help, we'd be glad to take a look and give you our no cost, no obligation second opinion on your portfolio.
And Judd, with just a little over a minute left of the show this week, I know there's a special offer that you're going to be giving the viewers at home. Let's talk about what that is.
Definitely. Well, we look forward to, again, if you give us a call, 833-652-7829. Stuart or I, are going to sit down with you, spend that hour, get a chance to get together with you, complimentary, leave the checkbook at home like we always say, but everything else you have questions about, taxes, brokerage statements, estate planning, all of those options, bring in as much as you have, as much as you would like, and we're happy to sit down, let you know where you are, let you know where you're going to be, and see if there's anything we can do to improve your situation.
So no obligation, completely complimentary.
Absolutely.
Gentlemen, thank you for another amazing show this week. To the viewers at home, most specifically, thank you for spending time with us. That number to call is 833-652-7829. We know you have a lot of questions about how to plan for your retirement. Stuart and Judd have the answers for you. Again, thank you for spending time with us. Be safe, be happy, be blessed, and we look forward to seeing you back here 1 week from today, same time, same location.